Hi, my name is Rick Howell. I'm a TV guy, and this show is called Talk Back to Television. It's about the business of television, how we make the programs, how we distribute the programs, and mostly how we pay for the programs. Because if we can't pay for the shows, there's nothing to watch. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Rick Howell.
And I'm Scott Ehrlich.
And it's time to talk back to television. Okay, we're here with Scott Ehrlich, and he is Chief Innovation Officer, Chief Strategy Officer, Chief Swiss Army Knife at Sinclair Broadcast Group. How are you, Scott?
Good, Rick. Always good to talk to you.
And near as I can figure, when no one else can figure out what's going on, Scott knows. So, Scott, the question on the table right now is, where does the broadcast television industry stand? Where are we going with all this?
Well, I mean, where we stand is we're in the middle of a transition. We're in the middle of the biggest, I guess, standards transition that we've seen in television since the move from analog to HD. So when we moved from analog to HD, which started in '99, we moved to sort of what I would call sort of a first phase of digital broadcasting. And so the signal that you get over the air today is a version of a digital broadcast, but it's not true digital. So next gen TV, also known as ATSC 3.0, is truly digital. It's really turning everything into effectively broadcast internet. And so the way that broadcast will work is very, very close to the way OTT services or connected TV services work today, except we'll be able to do it over the air via an antenna to the TV or to a mobile device or to any other device that has a receiver in the right chip.
What does that do to the business model for broadcast television? How does that actually change the way Sinclair and everybody else makes money?
In a number of ways. So first of all, we're able to offer more content. So today I have an antenna on my house here in Los Angeles, and it gets 208 free over-the-air channels. That capacity goes up significantly in the world of 3.0. So maybe it's 5x, maybe it's 6x, maybe it's more than that. But you go from a couple of hundred channels to potentially 1,000 channels in any given market, which means that we can offer dedicated local news channels, local weather channels, other things that serve the community interest, other things that entertain and inform the communities that we serve. But we can deliver a lot more content with a lot more flexibility. The other thing is it opens up for the broadcasters, it opens up new business models. So we've announced a couple of things, data delivery in general as something that we can do, because now this is basically just sending bits from a tower, and enhanced GPS. We have a broadcast app that we've launched in a number of markets, at least in a test phase, and we open sourced it at NAB last year. So it can be used by any broadcaster, which allows a broadcaster to have something where, you click a button on the remote and this app appears as part of the channel that you're watching and is a gateway to other content services, and those sorts of things.
Okay, so now where does live come with the new broadcast models? And this is sports, but this is also live events. It used to be live was sort of the tent pole that held everything up. Is that still going to be the case?
Well, here's the way I look at it: is you've got two kinds of content generally, right? You've got acquisition content, you've got retention content. So you've got the content that gets somebody to take out their credit card, buy a service they don't have now, download an app that they don't have, change their consumption patterns, pay for something. That's acquisition content, and very little of it exists in a natural state. Very hard in the scripted world. Sports has always been the best example of acquisition content on planet Earth, because you know exactly when it's going to happen. People want to watch it live, and there's not a lot of it, and so it commands a premium. Retention content is the other category of content, and that's the content that we watch all day long, but isn't necessarily
the one that when you sit down and turn on the TV and sit down, turn on TV, what's on right now.
But the rest of, when you go out to sort of beyond sports, everything that I would label as high value acquisition content goes in the category of live. And so whether that's, the Oscars or the Golden Globes or election night, or debate, those all start to come under the same general heading of, they're things that get audiences to change behavior. And so if you're in acquisition mode, which next gen TV will be soon, those types of events become, kind of mission critical. And if you're in the sports business right now and you're sort of looking out at the landscape and saying, okay, who is moving into customer acquisition mode that needs to lean into these types of things that drive people to change behavior? Well, it sort of comes back to broadcast, which is probably something we haven't been able to say in decades.
It's fascinating when you look, and we only got about a minute left, when you look at the free ad-supported television services, otherwise known as FAST. For all intents and purposes, that's broadcast television. It feels like
this. Yeah, so I've said this before, where I've said to people, my definition of broadcasting is taking a piece of content, getting it to the broadest audience possible, and putting an advertisement against it. And one of the things you'll note in that definition is it doesn't take a stance as to what type of platform, what type of device,
what delivery, what technology, right? Just broadcast it to the broadest audience. Yeah.
And as we're looking at right structures, that's kind of our perspective, is something that's available to consumers on an ad-supported basis in a market is part of the broadcast rights, regardless of whether it's a mobile device, a television device, a broadcast signal, an internet signal. And I think that's that's sort of the coda, is we're moving to a world where there's less and less difference between those different things, which I think is good for consumers.
Well, and at the end of the day, we tend to kid ourselves, but it's just television. It's all just television, delivered a handful of different ways, but it's television. All right.
It is.
Okay. Indeed. On that note, I have to add a little thing for my friends at USA Today. They've asked for a little tidbit, and I got two things to share today, dramatically different. One is a new show coming up on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, and that's actually very hard to say. A show coming up on Disney Plus, the Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures animated design for preschoolers, which is sort of interesting. They're trying to lock him in soon. So that's on May the 4th, be with you. But on the much further end of the scale is a remake and a TV series of the movie Fatal Attraction, with Lizzie Kaplan as the obsessive Alex Forrest, I think was her name. That's on May 30th on Paramount Plus, and all I can say about that is guard your white bunnies. Keep them away from that lady. But on that note, we will see everybody again on Talk Back to Television next week. Scott Ehrlich from Sinclair Broadcast Group. Thank you very much, bud. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.